Hey guys, welcome back. It is another new month in Treasure Cruise, which means it is time for another Treasure Map Teams breakdown video. So this month is the 11th anniversary treasure map, so I'm super excited about that. I don't know why it's not a super treasure map. I don't know what happened to super treasure map. We had the one, and we haven't we haven't seen super treasure map again since. So that's funny. But there's a couple things I wanted to go over before we jump into it. First of all, this one is versus Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and it's to super evolve the York we got in PKA. Now, the first thing I wanted to go over is the special charge effect will be applied on the crew. For this treasure map event, special charge effect at battle 1 of the quest will apply to the entire crew. Use your favorite character to take on this treasure map. So basically what that means is all 6 treasure map fights will be like the first battle rush boss. So every character, regardless of their type or class, will get 5 turns of special charge, super switch, and versus gauge. So it makes it super easy to team build on this one. Also, like you see here, their super bonus maps will be occurring more often, and bonus maps will be occurring more often. So it's going to be very easy to get points, which is good because they actually boosted the amount of points we want to get this treasure map from 10 million to 20 million for the anniversary. So there's going to be a lot more awards to get. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The other thing I wanted to go over before we really go into breaking down the teams is during the duration of the treasure map, the 11th anniversary ship is still boosted. So you see you're going to get 5 turns of cooldown, boost your attack by 1.8, HP by 1.1, and makes tandem slots matching for the crew. Now, with this ship giving you 5 turns of cooldown, you getting 5 turns of cooldown to everyone regardless of type and class at the start of each treasure map fight means that with the ship, the cooldown, and assuming you have max sockets for cooldown, every character is going to be getting 12 turns of cooldown before you even factor in your captain's like abilities if they have like cooldown built in. So good thing to note there. So again, it makes it just super easy to team build this treasure map. And I apologize for any noise outside. It seems like they're doing a little bit of like landscaping work outside my apartment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do the breakdown. I got my iPad here with the treasure map planner pulled up, and we're going to go ahead and go through the teams. The first one is versus Franky, because you're going to be fighting all the different Straw Hats this one. Now, they recommend Monet for this one, but I have her set up for a different team, which we'll get to later on, that she just fits better on for how I have my team set up. And for any new players or returning players that may not have all the characters, my teams are built without the treasure map badge this month, which was the Zoro, which you should not have pulled for, the paywalled Zoro, and the rare recruit Brook. I do think the Brook is a good unit, but that banner was not a good banner. Like, it was really, really bad. The characters that were on it, it was, in my opinion, it was like one of the worst TM banners I've ever seen. It was an easy skip. You shouldn't pull on that one at all. Yes, you won't get access to the Zoro until September when they give us the skulls for it. But from May until September, I just don't foresee anybody ever really needing that Zoro. So don't pull on that banner. Assuming you pulled on part 1 of the 11th anniversary, I built my teams based off of the pulls I got, which was Kizaru and all the rare recruits. So just be noted of that. These are made if you don't have Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, or Nami. But we'll get into that as we get into the teams. So the first one's versus Franky, and the enemy is weak to Driven class. And this is one of the easiest treasure map fights I've ever seen. It's just 9 turns of despair. So with sockets, that makes it 6 turns. And funny enough, when I first made this team, I accidentally forgot Buggy removes bind and not despair. So I made a team that didn't even work for it, as easy as it is. But it was super easy to do a little quick change and have like everything set up to go. So what I'm running is double Buggy captains, and you're going to have Dofi on here so that he can give you a slot buff when you activate one Buggy special. And what you want to do is Buggy's EX first, and then his special to give everybody a full board of matching slots. His EX will also give you class advantageous buff, so you're going to be doing even more damage there. He gives you territory, and he gives you base attack buff. He gives you territory, base attack buff, and resistance down. That's what it is. So Buggy just himself generates a ton of damage, and with that Dofi support, Crocodile is going to give you chain boundary and an attack buff. And this is the unevolved Crocodile because we want to use the other Crocodile later on. Other than Crocodile, Stussy is only here just for now, just for points, but she can easily be replaced with York. Once you super evolve the other York, you should keep a second one so that you can run both in the treasure map to have those points. And that's literally, actually Stussy isn't really needed. I did have Luffy on this team originally. Oh, wait. I need that support. Never mind. Actually, here, if we're going to do a quick change real quick. I just realized how I can, like, get a little bit more points on this team. Replace Stussy with Luffy for now. Again, York will be worth more points later on. So it's this Luffy here that we got from one of the stores. And then put on him, like, any support that removes one turn of despair. So I'm just gonna like throw Rayleigh on him, and then you can just give Robin whatever. Yeah, Gold Roger's fine for Robin. So in doing it this way, by setting it up this way instead, you'll get more points than you would with Stussy, but you'll still get more points when you get York because you want to replace that Luffy with your unevolved York. There's no immunity on the enemy, so Ryuma is here just to give you a guaranteed defense down and conditional, so even more damage. And Lafayette's here just to give your driven characters type effect, which is only going to affect Buggy, but there's no reason to worry about the damage. I just realized Crocodile's attack buff is only for Cerebral when he's the non-super evolved one, but there's no problem because you're still getting that chain boundary from him. And with Buggy's other buffs and everything else going on, there's nothing to worry about this one. This one was super easy. Channeling your damage into your two Buggy captains, you're going to do more than enough damage with all the buffs you have set. And by the way, when you replace York, you're using, or Luffy with York, you're using this Robin to remove 5 turns of despair. So what you want to do with Robin is when you replace Luffy with York, give her this support here to remove the remaining turns, the 1 additional turn of despair. So you want to add this one to her. It basically does the same thing that the Rayleigh one does on Luffy. So that's all. See, obviously you can't have it while you have Luffy on the team. So once you add York, swap that over. So going on to our next team is going to be versus Brook. Now this one, the enemy is weak to Free Spirit, and your recommended characters are Usopp and Franky. Now I do have Usopp and Franky on this team, just because they just, honestly, the two of them together, they clear up everything. I know some people want to put like the max boosters they can on the all on one team for the final one to get the most amount of points, but this just makes this one so much easier. And there's so many different boosters and stuff like that. Their gimmicks for this one and what they do, they're just perfect for this team because they have a little bit of overlap with Kizaru in the fact they do cooldown and special bind, the two of them, when you add their specials together, and Kizaru kind of handles both those. So they just fit here. Your left turn gets special, your left column gets special reverse, and your right column gets special bind. That's why you want Franky in this slot and Usopp in that one. Franky's going to remove your special reverse, and he has resistance to it, so he'll remove the special bind on himself and trigger it for the team. So he'll remove the special bind, he'll change your slots to tandem, and he'll go ahead and give you a type effect buff. So going ahead back out to Usopp. When you have Usopp on the team, he's going to get rid of your special reverse, and he also has crewmate ability to reduce his special reverse. So he'll get everyone else's specials back, and he's going to give you an attack buff. Now, what's good about Usopp is if you already have an attack buff, he gives you, what did it say if you have it? If you have attack buff, he gives you a chain multiplicative buff. And Franky, if you had type affinity, you also got chain multiplier, so you don't need to worry about it. If you have the attack buff already for Usopp, you're able to get a chain multiplicative buff instead. And we're using double Mugawara 56 Sanji here because he launches his special at the start of the quest. He gives a 4-turn attack buff, and if you have, or a 4-turn slot buff, and if you have a slot buff, he gives you a 4-turn attack buff. So I don't believe, yeah, you won't be able to get Usopp's multiplicative buff, which is no problem there. And since he's a Straw Hat, you also get the other benefits from Usopp and Franky, but I don't think they actually matter for this team. I don't think they'll trigger anything, because I think Usopp should get like a conditional buff, and Franky should get like a rainbow shield for your team. So neither of those like matter there. Just as long as you have like the double Sanji and then Usopp and Franky, you're going to get attack, color, remove all the gimmicks, slot buff, and you're going to get super type. Jinbei and Lola here are just here for points. They're not. These are just like the Luffy here. These are the kind of support characters that we could get from each of the stores this month that they did for the 11th anniversary. So you don't need to limit break them or anything like that. Jinbei does have super tandem boost, but again, you're never going to use him on a team, so don't feel like you need to waste any like limit break material on him. Just as long as you get their supports max, that's all that matters. And I did put sockets on them just because I had so many of forbidden tomes that it was like nothing to me, just to make sure the gimmicks were like easier. But again, that just depends on the fight on if you need that or not. So the next match is against Nami and Usopp. Now with this one, it recommends you use Kuma, Sentomaru, and Chopper. Now the Kuma and Sentomaru were from the end of month batch. I don't have them. I do have the Chopper, and he's going to be on this team. You get 5 turns attack down. 4 turns your middle row is blown away. The top row is bound for 8 turns, which will be 5 with sockets. And then you get 1 turn of crewmate fear. Now it's very, 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 we're super lucky that the devs did the crewmate fear after the blowaway, and you'll see why in 1 second. Like if it was reversed, that would have really sucked. Like we would have had to like change up our team comp totally. But thankfully the crewmate fear is the last thing inflicted, and you'll see why that's important. And the enemy's weak to cerebral class. So this one we're running double Bond Clay. Basically once you get to the final stage, just turn Bond Clay into fighter cerebral or shooter cerebral and get his super type. He's going to give you a full board of matching slots. He's going to give you base attack buff, and he's also going to give you a super type. So you want him to be Psy, either fighter cerebral or shooter cerebral, and you'll see why. So the Chopper's here because he removes 6 turns of attack down, and he also gives you, if you have slot effect buff, yeah, we're not gonna have it. So he'll give us a slot effect boost, which is important. And if you have Straw Hat, 3 Straw Hat or Egghead characters, he gives you a chain buff, but it doesn't matter, we're getting the chain lock from Bond Clay. So Chopper's just here for the slot buff and attack down. Jinbei is here because he removes the 6 turns of bind to the top row. And most importantly about Jinbei is he's a boosted character that, as you see here, cannot be blown away by attack. So you want to put Jinbei in the middle row. Use him after Chopper because he also triggers a slot effect boost, and this one isn't going to help your team. So you want to use Chopper first. Jinbei is going to remove the 6 turns of bind. S-Bear here is going to also, he's a boosted character that cannot be blown away. And what you want to do with his special is, I think with Chopper, I can't remember, sorry, if he removed all the turns of attack down But S-Bear will remove additional turns of attack down if Chopper didn't. I'll have to double check that. But he also gives you color affinity for fighter and shooter characters. So that's why you want to have Bon Clay as at least one of those 2 units. Let me check. What was the amount of attack down? 5 turns. So yeah, Chopper will remove it. So no, you're good there. Nami is the last of those 4 support characters that we got from the stores. So she's literally just there because she has color affinity and she has type advantage. No, she's not going to add color affinity. She has type advantage, and she's going to give you dang, I'm like tripping here. She's going to give you this is why Nami's here. Once per quest, when you're inflicted with bind, if you have the Soba Mass support, it gives you an attack buff. So that's where our attack buff is coming from. Is thanks to Nami, we're able to attack the Soba Mass support. So we'll get a 1.5 attack buff. So that's everything for this one. Again, you don't need to add any sockets to Nami or anything. I actually want to check Chopper's level 1 super tandem and find about 3 side characters on the crew. Yeah, so you can get super tandem with Chopper. It's not going to be a lot of like points, but it is a little bit of extra damage. So you can get Chopper super tandem if you want, but that's totally up to you. Going into the final battle rush boss is going to be Robin and Chopper, and this one they recommend Vegapunk, York, and Vivi Rebecca. Again, that Vegapunk was from the end of month batch, so I don't have him. And we do have York that we're using on this team. I actually couldn't remember if I was. So the enemy's weak to Cerebral on this one. This one, again, like the last one, a lot of attack down. So you get 6 turns of attack down. And you have 8 turns of Threshold and 6 turns of enemy defense up. So Vivi Rebecca, completely remove defense up. You'll want to start on Rebecca so you can swap into Vivi. The super switch will not be right because it takes 8 for the super switch. So you'll just get their regular one, which is a chain lock, not a chain boundary. Okay, since that's a chain lock and not a chain boundary, don't start on Rebecca. Just start on Vivi. You don't need to swap at all. Let me just put that support back on there. I thought their super switch would be ready. Since it's a chain lock and not a chain boundary, just start on Rebecca. You don't even need to switch them. So they're going to completely remove the enemy's defense up. Now, Usopp is here because he's going to remove 7 turns of the threshold, and he's also going to apply set target status because our captain is Dex. Now, we're running specifically the super evolved Crocodile as our captain. He gets access to his super class because Vivi is on the team. With his super class, we're going to get a little bit of slot change, health reduction to the enemy. I don't know if there's normal attacks on there, might be, but most importantly, we're going to get Super Cerebral class, and it's going to set his super to status 1. So we'll get an attack buff, and when launched at status 1, he's going to further increase that attack buff. So you're going to get a 2.75 attack buff to our Cerebral and Driven characters, and he's going to set the chain boundary to chain boundary, that's right, from 3 to 40. So we definitely want to run him. We want to not do that switch with Vivi Rebecca. I mean, so we can get that better chain boundary. So that's what Croc is there for, just the attack buff and the chain boundary. Now with Zoro's support on Luchikaku, we're going to get an attack buff, or a slot buff, because Croc's giving us the attack buff. And we're going to use Lucci and Kaku after Croc, so we can get... bear with me 1 second. Just want to double check on whose chain boundary is better, because they both actually have it. We do need them to go ahead and reduce the attack down, so that's mainly why they're here. Your crew has type affinity buff, fixes it, blah, blah, blah. If your enemy has that... increases type affinity, etc. Okay. I guess you want to use them first because they give you a better starting number. So you would use Luchikaku first before Crocodile, then I guess, just to get a better starting number. But either way, again, I'm not worried about the damage here because you see everybody's decks and most characters are driven. York is here because she's going to remove the last turn of the threshold because Usopp is just off by 1. And then she'll buff the attack buff by 0.25. Now, once we super evolve her, we'll get some better buffs from her. But, and when you super evolve her, the non-super evolved one, again, you should be putting on that first team. But again, not worried about the damage on this one. This is going to be super easy to do. You're getting color affinity, by the way, from Vivi Rebecca. I guess you would want to use them before you use... let me see here. Yeah, use Vivi Rebecca before you would use Luchikaku, just so they can multiply that color affinity buff, and then you're good to go. Bear with me 1 second, just while I grab some water before we break down the final boss fight here. Now, the way I set this team up versus Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji is this can be run with double Kizaru. So just keep that in mind. This can be run with double Kizaru and works perfectly, but it can also be run with, and this is ideally what you would want to do, only use Kizaru if this isn't an option, is your friend captain should be Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. Now, if you have Luffy, Zoro, Sanji and you don't have Kizaru, it can be flipped. You can run Luffy, Zoro, Sanji as the captain and Kizaru as a friend captain, but just note that will change the territory that you'll get with Kizaru, which can make a difference there. Gives you just a little bit less damage because you have more slashers on this team than you do shooters. So just keep that in mind. But this team cannot run with 2 Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. So you do have to have at least 1 Kizaru. So it's either double Kizaru or Kizaru, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. So I'm going to go through the breakdown of it as if it was the friend captain that we have is Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. Obviously, if you run double Kizaru, when we would get to Luffy, Zoro, Sanji special, instead you would just use the other Kizaru. So we'll go ahead and break this one down now. So in this one, your middle row gets special reverse for 5 turns, and you're going to get hit with the middle row special lock. So you won't be able to level up their special until you hit 2 goods, but just don't worry about that. You're going to get 6 turns of reduced damage taken, so Rainbow Shield, and 10 turns of Despair. Now, going into the third battle, the enemy's weak to Slasher. You're going to get 7 turns of Special Bind. You're going to get Super Burn for 7 turns also. 3 turns the enemy's going to have Territory, and you're going to get 6 turns of Paralysis. So for this one, just because it's so like complex and stuff with all the gimmicks and stuff, I do have pulled up on here. I'm going to switch over to my iPad because I have my the treasure map planner pulled up here with the teams. So we'll go ahead and we'll like break this down. So for the special reverse and that like special lock, Kizaru handles that. There's no worry about that. In terms of so let me go through who takes care of the gimmicks, and then I'm going to go through what order you should be launching your specials. So just let me explain like who handles what first and how it works. So for the Despair, you're going to use Monet. Now with Monet, she does remove 6 turns of Despair, and if you check over here, she has a crewmate ability to reduce 1 turn of Despair. Also, I want you to note here that Monet is a Logia type, which helps for Kizaru because for his captain ability to remove the Special Bind and the Burn, you need at least 3 Navy, Egghead, or Logia type characters. So since she is Logia, she does count towards that. So Monet just comes in clutch here for that. So Monet is going to remove all the despair by herself. Now, when you use her special, you're also going to remove 2 turns of Rainbow Shield because of the support of this Tashigi here, which is good because running this Franky, he removes 5 turns of the enemy's Rainbow Shield. So with Monet, we can get that extra 1 removed thanks to the Tashigi support, and we have attached to him the Soba Mask support so that we can go ahead and boost our attack. So what we're going to do on this stage, now that you see like basically how all the gimmicks are taken care of, the way that we would run our specials here is we would do Kizaru's EX first. Now we do have his EX because even though we don't have the 2 characters, and I did test this in a GARP challenge like with 0 stamina just so I could get in and make sure like it procced and everything, and it did work. Where at the bottom it says when your crew has 6 shooters or slasher characters, it does not have to be 6 shooters or 6 slashers. That should really say 6 and or shooters or slashers. Like, it just has to be one or the other. So this team has like, well, let me go back and like look and see. So like, let's see here. Like Monet's slasher, she's not shooter. Stussy is shooter, but she's not slasher. Even though we're mixing and matching there, like it shows we don't have a full team of shooters, we don't have a full team of slashers. It does work because we have 6 characters that are at least shooter or slasher. Now that's important because with that we can go ahead and get a slot turn or a slot effect buff for our whole crew. So Kizaru is going to give us an orb buff. Now when you use his special, he's going to reduce your middle row characters charge time by 6. So you're going to get all those specials back that was wound back by the enemy and locked. So you don't have to worry about that. In addition, since we have a Psy character on him, we're going to get slasher territory, which is important because we have 4 slasher characters on the team versus having 2 shooters. So we definitely want to get that one if it's better. That's where I was telling you that you would get not as strong of a territory if you had Kizaru as a friend captain and use your own Luffy, Zoro, or Sanji. So we're also going to get the chain boundary and the tap timing bonus stuff, which is all good to go. Just some free extra damage there with Kizaru. Then when you activate Monet, that's what I have next, right? Let me just double check. Yeah, Kizaru, then Monet. When you activate Monet, she delays all enemies for 1 turn, ignoring immunity, which is going to be important in 1 second. That does seem like just a random effect, but that does actually matter here. Now, she's going to, like I said, remove the despair with her crewmate ability and her special. And she's also going to give a -20 resistance for slasher characters. So just free extra damage for our slashers. She'll also give it for Driven, but she's the only one that will get like a buff to that. Oh, I didn't realize and Cerebrals too. So I think that means Stussy might get some extra damage. Yeah. So cool. So Monet gives just a good bit of extra damage there with her resistance down. We don't have 6 slashers or Driven, so we're not going to get the extra thing on there, which is no problem. We'll go into Franky with the Soba Mask support. We're going to get our attack buff. And Franky, like I said, is going to remove all the rest of the Rainbow Shield there. Now, he will give us an affinity buff for side characters for 3 turns. It's not a bad affinity buff, and he's getting that because Luffy is, if you have Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. So he's going to give that. That's totally fine. It's no biggie. It's just free damage because the final boss is going to be Int anyway. So Franky's going to give us our color buff going into the final stage. Now, lastly, before you leave the stage, you want to use Brook. Now, Brook has double special launch, and actually the way that I built this team, that double special launch comes in super, super, super clutch. Brook's perfect because he has type advantage, and he's also a slasher, so he fits perfectly on the team. And his special here, if you look, if there are any delayed enemies, gives you delayed conditional buff of 1.75 for 1 turn. That is perfect because with Monet doing that delay through immunity, you get Brook's conditional, so just free damage there. Next, you want to go into the final stage. Just refreshing what is going on the final stage is you have the special bind and the burn. Now, I just want to show that even if, like, not even factor in the friend captain, Monet was Logia, as you see here, and Stussy, again, also another character comes in clutch, is Egghead. So just your team being comped like this already, you're already removing all the burn and all the special bind with Kizaru, either as your friend captain or as your captain. So you already meet the requirements for that. The last thing on there is the paralysis. Now, this is how this team works if you're only using Kizaru as a captain and friend captain. Is Stussy removes the paralysis, and I'll show you like the order you would want to do this. So you want to do Luffy, Zoro, Sanji's EX and special first. Now their EX, yes, you already have the color affinity of Franky, so like there's nothing like really that's going to do for you other than like change orbs into tandem and get like basically you're just doing that to get your super side characters. Technically, you could use their EX on stage 2 if you want because you already have the color affinity of Franky just to get the extra damage. It's up to you. Use it wherever you need at your discretion. But their special is going to remove 10 turns of paralysis. So having them, they remove the paralysis. Like I said, Stussy's there only if you're using double Kizaru. So this team does work with double Kizaru. I just want to stress that. So they're going to go ahead and give you an territory for Sai. So I'll take care of the enemy's territory. And again, if you're using Kizaru, he does territory. That'll take care of the enemy's territory. And he's going to give you an orb and attack buff. So from there, you want to go ahead and use Stussy after you use Luffy, Zoro, Sanji's EX and special. Even if you're using them, you still want to use Stussy because now you don't need her paralysis removal. But what you do get from Stussy is, if you see here, delays all enemies for 1 turn, ignoring immunity to delay. Which, if you're following me, you know exactly what that means. Next, you want to use Brook and give yourself a conditional buff. So now you'll have territory, conditional, orb, and affinity and attack buff. You're good to go. These are Luffy, Zoro, Sanji are highly boosted units. So just attack with them last, and you're good to go. And even not counting like that, Brook and Franky, if you notice, are both side characters and they're both free spirit, so they are going to get both benefits from Luffy, Zoro, Sanji's EX special. So there's no worry about the damage on this team. This is a super strong team. I know it looks a little funky, but it actually just works together so well, and that you're able to get that conditional buff from Brook on both stages. Just the way it's set up, super like cool team. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The last one here is against York. And now I know the first thing you're probably thinking is like, whoa, where's all the boosted units? And the main reason why like this team doesn't have boosted units on it, save for Kizaru, is just because the way that this one is set up. If you look here, the recommended characters are Kizaru, Nami, Zoro, and Brook. Now, like I said, you should not have pulled for Zoro. Don't put money in that Sugo. It is not worth it. Yes, Brook is a great rare recruit, but after the Sugo Fest, he's going to be on every banner. You might get that Brook easily later on. He'll probably be a boosted unit for, like, boosted in terms of, like, when you pull on other Sugo Fest. So don't worry about getting the Brook now. And the Zoro, I'm telling you, you're outside of this event, you're not going to be needing him until like we would get the skulls. Like you're going to be totally fine. So don't pull in that Sugo Fest. You shouldn't be doing it. You should only be putting gems right now in either part 1 of the Annie, part 2 when it's announced, and part 3 when they're announced. But don't put gems into the Zoro one. Now, because this is built with Zoro and Brook in mind, when you're looking at the team, the way that they really want you to set it up is they want you to have pulled your own Zoro and run a friend captain Zoro. So that's why that team looks funny like that, is because we kind of had to structure it around not having those characters. And not a lot, it's not just you shouldn't have pulled on this. Not a lot of people did pull on it in general. So you're not going to really find Zoro friend captains. So just don't even worry about like building with him as a friend captain in mind. Now, we'll go through again the stages here, what the characters do, and then I'll give you the ideal, like, this is the order you want to launch your specials in. So for Battle 2, there is mob units on Battle 2 and Battle 3. On Battle 2, S Shark and S Bear have 500,000 health each. Now for 2 turns, you're going to get your a chain attack down if it's less than 3.75. Your crewmates are all going to be stunned. Normal attacks only is being inflicted on stage 2, which is important because of the mob characters, and you'll see why for both stages, why that matters to how our team comp is. You're going to get threshold from the enemy for 6 turns and 6 turns of defense down. And the enemy applies their territory on stage 2 this time, not stage 3. When you go into stage 3, S-Snake and S-Hawk are the mob characters, and they have 1.5 million health, so they have more. The enemy is going to be weak to Slasher class. Now you're getting left and right slot column change to, let's see, block and bomb. It doesn't really matter. You'll see like how we're dealing with that and getting those changed. Normal attacks only again, immunity, and 10 turns rainbow shield, a slot barrier, 6 turns of resilience, and lock target. So all that definitely does seem a little overwhelming, but once you look at how we made the team, there's nothing to worry about here. Like, this is set up like this is a really, really strong team that is going to easily clear this content. And I just want to stress first, this is the team, but the friend captain or your captain, again, if you didn't pull Kizaru, you can use this unit as a friend captain, as your captain, needs to be Roger and Odin. And that's very important. You really need these 6 characters. So I'm going to show you here what everybody does. So for the first stage, or for stage 2, let me just flip over here because you have to use your specials in a very specific order to make sure everything works out right. Give me 1 second just to get water, and then we're going to break this down. Sorry, my throat's a little dry there, chat. So for stage 2, what you want to do first is use Kizaru's EX. Go ahead and use his EX. You don't even need it at all. You don't even need the slot buff in it. So, and you'll see why in a second. So just go ahead and use it just to get it out of the way, get a little bit of extra damage, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just go ahead and pop that. Everybody on this team, by the way, is a slasher, which is good because that triggers Kizaru's EX. And they're all slashers with critical attack, which is important for Roger and Odin's EX, which you'll see in a little bit why we need that. So go ahead and use Kizaru's EX. Doesn't even matter, like, you can use it whatever. So we're going to use King's special first. And King is important because if you look here, he's immune to stun. So he can't be stunned. Once you go back over here, he cuts crew's HP. So he's going to remove everybody else's stun. Now, King is going to remove everybody's stun. He's going to go ahead and give you a type affinity buff. And the type affinity buff is for 3 turns, 2.25. And it's for slashers. So with that, you're off to the races with King. You don't really need any of his other abilities or anything like that. Next, you want to go ahead and use Cross Guild. Now, you're using Cross Guild's first stage. So their first stage is going to give you set target status and then run their special down 13 turns. The set target status is just free damage. You don't really need it right here. What you want to get is their second stage one, but it's free damage. We're not going to say no to that. So you get the set target status, just extra bonus for slashers. And remember, now their specials ran down by 13 turns, so you're 2 away from getting it back. That's where you then want to go into Kizaru. And by the way, once you pop them, I just threw the support on them. It's not needed, but using the Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger support, you're able to get just that chain multiplicative buff there, which is just going to make it easier to get over that chain minimum. Because ideally, you can get over it if you do Kizaru's action special, but to make the treasure map run faster, you can just skip it, because you're going to get the tap timing buff and his chain boundary. Even if you get a miss and you're at the 3.25, with that chain addition, you're good to go. You'll be set up there. So that's why I just threw it on there. So even if we get a miss, we can just go ahead and start dealing damage. But we'll use Kizaru's special next because of its reducing special charge time to the middle row by 6 turns, That'll get cross-skilled back and ready to go, which is important in 1 second. He'll also go ahead and add territory for 3 turns, so he's getting rid of the enemy's territory. And like I said, his chain buffs, in addition to that support, will have you all set for handling the chain minimum down. So all that's taken care of. Yes, King does remove the threshold, but there's the defensive effects on the final stage. That's why we're going to go ahead and use Cross Guild the second time. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. So you want to go King, Cross Guild, Kizaru. Now you're at Cross Guild a second time because the special got wound back. So when you use them the second time, here's what's the most important thing about this. Reduces all enemies' defense up and threshold by 6. Again, the threshold we're not even worrying about, and you'll see why in a second. Technically, King would have already removed it, but who cares? So there goes that defense up, and deals 1 million damage to all enemies, ignoring defense effects. Defense and non-normal attacks deal 1 damage. So that means there goes both mob characters gone. So that clears the mob characters on stage 2, gets rid of the defense up, and gives you a orb buff of 2.75 for your slasher characters. Runs their special back 13 turns. After you do that, you want to go ahead and pop Carrot. So Carrot will switch to your captain and let you bypass defensive effects, and you're good to go. Basically, all her other effects don't really matter. Like, yes, she does give you cooldown, so Cross Guild's good to go again. Don't use a third Cross Guild special on this stage. Wait until you get to the next one. You still want to use Carrot on this stage, even though you've already removed the threshold, because you want to use Dog Storm support on her to give your slasher characters 1.75 attack buff. So you're going to have strong attack buff, orb buff, color affinity, territory. You have the 6 slasher, so you're getting the maximum buff of the territory, and chain boundary and tap time bonus, and chain additional buff. So tons of buffs. Stage 2 should be easy. Once you go into the third stage, you want to use Roger and Odin's EX first to go ahead and change all your slots. Now remember, our slots are being changed to block and bomb slots. So they're going to change your top row's character slots through block to Wano, and they're going to change your middle and bottom row's character slots into their own type. Locks the slots, and it's going to boost the right column character's base attacks, and just give you super quick and super slasher, right? Yeah. So then from there, you want to use their special. Now their special is clutch here, chat. Remember, you're going into the stage with both Kizaru's affinity, or not Kizaru's affinity, Kizaru's territory and King's type affinity buffs, both still active. So you already have those buffs inflicted on the crew. Now you would have the base attack buff for half your crew from Roger and Odin. Now doing their special, the first thing you see on there is deal 1.5 million damage to all enemies, ignoring defensive effects, defense, and non-normal attacks, deal 1. Roger and Odin go ahead and clear both mob characters for you. So with this special and the cross guild on the last one, you have nothing to worry about with mob characters. And that's with the extra buffs about to come in. If this character slot is Wano, boost quick type slasher character's attack, which everybody but Kizaru is, for by 3.25, so you get a huge buff there, and then quick and slashers get 2.75, so only Kizaru's attack is 2.75, which is still massive, and changes quick slots into Wano, so everyone will have a Wano slot, because Kizaru's slot is already Wano since he was in the top row, so big damage there. And let's see here, if your total damage dealt with normal attacks before the special was the 10 million or more, boost quick type slasher characters slots for by 3 times, and quick slasher character slot effects by 2.75, or boost quick and slasher character slots by 2.75. So at a minimum, you're going to get 2.75 slot buff. So we get a massive attack and massive orb buff from Roger and Odin. All slots are made Wano. We get the base attack buff on half of our crew, and we're going to get the both mob characters killed on the final stage there. So super, super, super clutch stuff. That's why I said you need all 6 of these characters. They all have a role. After that, you're going to want to go ahead and use Brook. Now, Brook is going to buff the color affinity that you already had from King. And he's also, the main reason that he's here though is that he's going to remove resilience. So the resilience is going to be completely removed by Brook. And then lastly, you just want to go ahead and use Cross Guild Special for the 3rd time. And when you use it the 3rd time, it's going to set the chain multiplier value at 3 with a maximum of 20 for 3 turns, and go ahead and apply a minus 20 resistance. So you are good to go. Like from there, you're off to the races. This is massive damage you're going to be able to output. I would definitely advise putting your characters in this order specifically in terms of your crewmates. This positioning specifically because Roger and Odin's base attack buff was to the right side. So obviously you're going to have more damage, higher damage stats with Carrot and Cross Guild than you would with King and Brook. So I would just recommend putting them over there. And yeah, this is going to be a super fun fight to do. And I was actually really excited to make this team. I know some people would be discouraged about not having like boosted characters or whatever. But my favorite thing about the treasure map, like I always say every month, is the team building aspect and getting to come up with these unique and fun teams that just work together. It's funny, the past like 2 treasure maps, we've had those teams where we've used the Blackbeard that bypass defensive effects that wasn't boosted. We had to use like teams that had 1, maybe 2 boosted units, and we had to do it again this month for the intrusion fight, which is no biggie. It's just how you got to make it work. And it said that note, use the special cooldown that they're doing for all characters to bring your favorite characters into this treasure map. And I definitely am with this team because Cross Guild is one of my favorite characters in Treasure Cruise, and so is Roger and Odin. So it's really exciting to get to use them in this treasure map and just get to showcase some more of the stuff they do, and get to synergize them with Kizaru, who looks like a badass slasher captain. So really exciting stuff. Other than that, I hope y'all have a great time with Treasure Map. Good luck on your pulls on part 2 and 3, and on part 1 if you haven't done it yet. If y'all have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll make sure to get to them. Try to get to them before Treasure Map starts on Wednesday. We will be streaming the Treasure Map Wednesday live on Twitch, and after the stream, I'll be uploading my stream over to YouTube, so you can see the teams in action if you want, even if you miss the stream. But other than that, guys, I wish y'all best of luck in your Treasure Map, and hope y'all have a good rest of the week. Catch y'all later.